To the Web3 gaming panel. So this is Crimson Clad from HIVE Blockchain Operations. She travels the world going to all these in real life conventions to speak. So it's a very great pleasure to have you in the metaverse this time to speak with us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Somebody's got the delay on. Mute your mic if is that Sniper. Mute your mic if you're not talking.
It is.
There
All
you
right.
go.
Well, hopefully you guys can't hear that through my mic or through my
No, you're good now. Go
my
ahead.
audio. Perfect. Fantastic. So if you don't mind that I'm a little flushed, you can see it's an early morning for me here, and it was quite funny because I should have known that I would have camera issues, but I had to run and get some coffee. So now that I've got that in the big Canadian mug, we're ready to go. So yeah, I'm really stoked to be here. I've always had a lot of fun at the NFTOPIA. You guys have put together such a great event. There's lots going on. But I just returned from Dubai, actually, which is a long way to travel. I was there for a couple days, and I was there to do a keynote talking about the HIVE blockchain. And so I've been really lucky to speak to some of you guys before. So some of you guys might have an idea of what HIVE's all about. Some of you might just be learning for the first time. And HIVE is basically a blockchain meant for facilitating social interactions and social-fi. It does a lot more things. It does gaming really well. It's fast. It's feeless. It has great APR. But overall, the point and purpose of HIVE is specifically to connect people together. And this is something we desperately need right now. I'm curious to know, I'm watching the chat, how many people have kind of seen what's going on with Friend Tech or saw how well / not well their airdrop went recently. We are stuck in a world right now where everything blockchain and social is basically about gathering up all your friends in one place, getting them to invest as much of their money as possible, and then immediately dumping on their heads, which is pretty freaking horrible. That's not really what what blockchain is about. And the whole purpose of either becoming your own bank or building your own communities or placing your content where it's censorship resistant, whatever it is that you do on the internet, Hive is built to allow you to do that with a bit more freedom, but also in a really human way. And it's something we're missing right now entirely. So I'm sure some of you guys are familiar. I can see people are talking about how they actually write a lot on Hive, and I'm stoked to hear that. Hive is a really great way to discover social media platforms. And if you have never really thought about producing content, or maybe you are active on Wax, because I know there's a lot of crossover between the two chains, and Wax has a lot of cool gaming and NFT activity. You know, if you've ever thought about kind of branching out and all the people that you've met on Wax, bringing them into a place where you can like and follow, share content, talk about what you're building, your new NFT collections, talk about NFTOPIA. Hive is a blockchain that has a number of sites that would let you do that. And there's a couple of reasons that I kind of want to encourage you to dip your toe in, because I know most of us are content consumers, right? Most of us watch YouTube, we check out Instagram, we scroll Twitter. We're not necessarily huge creators ourselves. And I think there is a little bit of nervousness to dive into some of our front ends. There are some great examples. There's hive.blog, there's peakd.com, there's Ecency, which is a really cool mobile first sort of open source front end. Leo Finance now has Leo Threads, which is like a short form content. I mean, if you name it, if you're already doing it on the internet, there is a great place for you to try it out in blockchain social media. And so that's what we kind of want to do with kind of our talk today, is to get you guys excited about expanding your presence even a little bit further. So I can see, yeah, there's a lot of people who are, engaging together on Hive. So I guess I'm going to open the floor at the end for some questions, but I thought I'd kind of do a quick once over of what's possible, why it's possible, and then talking a little bit about tech. Because I know today's event, like, let's face it, none of us here want to sit and listen to like the technical specs to a blockchain. And that's fair. That stuff is really important, but not as important these days. The one thing that I want to kind of underline is that Hive is completely feeless. And that is a really important part of while you are building out social relationships, whether you're playing Splinterlands or Decrops or Rising Star or Crypto Shots. I mean, Crypto Shots is cross chain, so you've probably experienced it with Wax too. I mean, we have dozens of games right now, and they're a really great example. Does it make sense for you to play a game with your friends, and every time you have a match, every time you enter cards, that you're constantly having to pay? It doesn't make sense. The reality is, when you are looking at blockchains specifically to be about security around large amounts of money, saying that fees are valuable and part of the security is fine. That's Bitcoin. And even then, that's being argued about. But for things like content, sharing with your friends, playing games, logging into websites, I'm sure many of you have had a bad experience with MetaMask at some point. These are things that Hive aims to fix. We want a little bit less friction in terms of being able to be human on the blockchain. So, yeah, one of the biggest sort of value propositions of the Hive blockchain is this. I'm pretty sure everybody here is familiar with base layers, but if you're not, it means, what does the blockchain do? At its very foundation, what does your blockchain do? And in most cases, what you're familiar with is anytime money goes from one wallet to another wallet, the blockchain keeps track of that. That's what it's all about. With Hive, our base layer doesn't just hold money information. And that's kind of an important distinction. We do that, and we do that really well. Transfers are less than a second in most cases, finalized, and they cost nothing. It's a lot different than paying exorbitant gas fees, waiting for gas fees to be okay, and then waiting for minutes up to hours for your transaction to finalize. Think about what playing a game feels like, and you guys are all familiar with it. Nobody wants to wait. In that same base layer where money is moving around really quickly, we have information, because we think about information a little bit differently. And you should too. If you use Facebook, if you use, like, we're going to use a lot of the legacy social media. That's our example. If you use a lot of legacy social media, you'll be familiar with, you get a lot of friends, you make a lot of posts, maybe you follow a creator you really like, and then they say the wrong thing, or they make a boo-boo, or they say something their sponsor or the platform doesn't like. And that's it. That content is gone. And in some cases, even their whole account is gone. In fact, people here, you've probably had experience with this. I know I have. You literally tweet something that you think is completely innocuous, but it happens to be attached to something going on in another conversation, and you get modded, or you even get a suspension. This is a real problem in today's world, unfortunately. Censorship looks a lot different than it used to. We used to think of censorship as something that it only happened to the bad guys, and it didn't happen very much. And the reality is in today's social media especially, and in today's information sharing world, censorship is really problematic. Regular people who build up Facebook marketplace businesses, who love to share on YouTube and then accidentally get demonetized, whatever that looks like, those are relationships that are really valuable, whether you follow them because you love their content or you're a person creating content. The ability for a platform to take that away from you, especially relationships with people, and your ability to talk to them freely, that's what the internet is for. So how do we correct that using blockchain? And that's kind of what Hive is all about. And I can see, yeah, vulnerability agents is clearly a Hiver through and through, because it's got a lot of great points, and we'll talk about some of them for sure. But for a lot of people, they go, okay, well, so why does that matter to me? Why does censorship resistance matter to me? I barely write anything, and I never say anything bad. And the reality is it doesn't matter, frankly. You need to treat yourself with value, and you need to have an understanding that when you use traditional platforms and when you use traditional Web 2, you are the product. Everything you do, everything you say, the posts that you make, even the friendships that you cultivate, these relationships that you have, they are sold out from under you. They are incredibly valuable. Now, Web 2 social media platforms, businesses, services know this, and they take advantage of it in your case. So it's time for you to start thinking about, if I'm valuable, if, just having friends is valuable, just Making communities is valuable. Just playing games and giving feedback is valuable. Why am I not being rewarded for it? Or at the very least, why is that not protected? Why can somebody else either take that away from me or be the arbiter of that value? If you're producing it, nobody else should be able to be in control of it. That's what blockchain is perfect for. And that's what Hive's perfect for. So, what we'd love to do is kind of help you if you've not checked it out yet. If you're already on Hive, fantastic. Then we want to get you and allow you to use your Hive wallet, one-click connection to anything that's on Hive: social, gaming, streaming, writing, reading, whatever. But if you're not already on Hive, we want to get some of the Wax fam over. And we certainly want to get, even if you're just checking out NFTOPIA, because I think there's like 115 projects here today, which is amazing. We want to get you checking out what's available on Hive. And the more that I kind of travel around the world and the more talks and keynotes I do, the more I realize that people are still in a space where they believe that blockchain must be maximalist. And it's funny because I used to think that way too. And in some degrees, I am. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I'm a Hive maxi for sure. But blockchain is not going away. Crypto is not going away. And one of the best things about it is that it is voluntary. You should be picking and choosing the chains you love best, the games, the services that you love best, and building your own tool set. My goal today and going forward is that hopefully some of those things that are built on top of Hive become your tools. So I can do a quick rundown of some of the tech if you guys want. I know for some of you, it's going to be the most fascinating part. For most of you, it's probably going to be like, yeah, free is good. Let's talk about that. But Hive is indeed, somebody's mentioned in chat there, a DPoS blockchain. And that means it's a little bit different from what you might be used to. DPoS means delegated proof of stake. Proof of stake might be something that you're familiar with. And that basically means instead of doing proof of work, which is solving many more and more complex transactions, math problems to get a block reward, in DPoS, you are basically having people voting for you with their stake. And the top 20 block producers produce blocks. What that means is you've got a consensus, and that consensus is essentially kind of in control of the software that the blockchain runs. You have a lot more feedback as a user, as part of governance, when you can actually be voting on the fly. So let's just say somebody in will you help move projects move from EOS and Telos to Hive? Absolutely. We can talk about that in the future, like 5 minutes in the future as well. But so for DPoS, the reason that we like to talk about it is it's very different for a lot of people. And proof of stake is now more common, voting for block producers. But delegated proof of stake is really fascinating because it means that you get to put your stake behind a witness that you believe in. And it also means you can remove that stake at any time. It allows governance to be much more quick, much more flexible, and it allows you to kind of make changes that you want to see in the network. If you're voting for me and I'm a witness and I do something like change the APR and you decide you don't like it, you can instantly shift your stake from voting for me to someone else. And what this essentially means, without getting too kind of into the weeds here, is that you're engaging in a system that lets you have a say no matter how much stake you have. You don't have to buy into a node. You don't have to have, I can't remember what it is. It's an absurd amount to be a block producer on something like Solana. But it also means that, again, your stake works for you. Your stake allows you to go and help distribute rewards around the blockchain. It allows you to play a bunch of games without paying gas fees. It allows you to go and hop in and watch somebody's stream and send them a tip. Whatever you do on the internet, there is an analog on Hive. And there's a great chance that especially one of those social things is something that's going to expand on what you're doing with other blockchains. So specifically, if you are trying to gather a team because you want to make a wax airdrop or you want to, meet some credentials for an airdrop on another platform, you should be coming to Hive and asking your friends, sharing this opportunity. These are the types of things that people get really caught up about. They're really worried that they have to stick with one blockchain. And with us, with Hive, there is no company, there's no CEO, there's no founder, there's no stake, there's no foundation. What that means is the people that love it and the people who are building it and the people who have come, you know, all this way with Hive do it because they love it, because they've been successful, because they really believe in changing things, and I am one of those. I am absolutely an ideological Hive lover. I I'm not hired by Hive, I am not paid by Hive, but I work with pretty much everyday, everyday actions that would be somebody who is hired by Hive. The difference is I give a shit. I'm not here, and anybody else who is working, core developers, all of the incredible projects, all of the front ends, they aren't paid to give a shit. We are not on a runway that we're just running out before then what? We pivot to AI, we do the next thing. And it's a very, very different way of treating blockchain, I'll tell you. Because when you don't have somebody with money threatening you of the right way to do it, or worried that the money is always going to be running out, or you have to make sure you follow the boss's rules, it means that it is sometimes harder to organize. But what happens is the community ends up building what is useful to them. And that's how Hive has evolved. Our goal is to be faster, to be more social, to provide more tools, and to be easier to engage in. So that's kind of the bulk of what I wanted to talk about today. Now, I certainly could. I could get into some of the tech stuff, talking about our transactions, one block finality, some of the things that are coming up with our core development. If you guys are interested in that, there are some really cool things. As much as we focus on social and as much as we focus on sort of the dApps and games and the things that are built on Hive as a blockchain is still really evolving, and there are some great things in the next probably 6 months to a year that will be happening, that will make us even better. We're already fast and we're already feeless, but there are some really exciting things like a new version of the Hive application framework. And I'm going to make a joke here because Hive application framework, it's HAF, and the joke is we say half the work is done for you. It's a terrible dad joke, and we always make it because it's the truth. What we would like is for games that want to either move to Hive or, frankly, even just cross with Hive. Realistically, having games or projects that are cross chain is one of the best ways to build decentralized connections between projects. It's great if somebody wants to move and sort of build on top of Hive. Fantastic. We'll help you do that. But even better is if you can actually touch different blockchains, use different resources, and make something really valuable. But with all that being said, we've got the Hive application framework, which means you will be able to deploy really quickly. You won't have to spin up a full node. You won't have to pay a bunch of money in, and you'll be able to use free resources to pull information from the chain. One of the hardest parts of building on Polygon, Solana, all of these other chains is not only are they centralized, it's not a bad thing, but actually trying to use their RPCs. And as I've been traveling, I've been talking to more developers, end users, trying to use their centralized RPC infrastructure is almost impossible because the absolute busyness that these nodes are getting hit with, is that something like 60% of transactions fail the first time because they can't scale, because they're centralized and they can't scale. So it's slower. It is still a bit more expensive because there's fees. And if you're playing a game, imagine if more than one in every two actions you took failed. That would be freaking awful. It's a terrible user experience. So for us, the goal is make it faster, make it smaller, make it easier. Always. We can't make it more free than free. So that one we've got on lock. But the goal moving forward is build more tools so more people can build more human connections. All right. So I'm keeping an eye down on the chat if people do have questions, or if Kitty and Nathan have questions. But I'm seeing, yeah, you're absolutely right. We got a couple things going on. People are asking about moving from one chain to the other. absolutely we can help with that. But also, if you already are running on Wax, consider just coming to Hive and starting out posting even. Getting some of Hive users interested in your project, bringing some of your team over and getting used to getting monetized or getting communities built on Hive. And yeah, otherwise, we have tons of big communities. Some people are gathered around topics. We have some really interesting topics. One of my favorites, and probably many of you guys have run into them, is the Alien Art Hive. They are a bunch of really cool crypto artists making really weird art, and it's super neat. But also, there are geographical communities as well. Venezuela, absolutely one of the biggest. And we are really lucky to have a lot of, like, I guess you would call it maybe underbanked people on Hive because of the fact that we do have really functional blockchain from a monetary perspective. One of the best things out there is the fact, especially now, we have a stable coin attached to Hive. So you're pretty used to seeing a token attached to a blockchain. We have Hive, which is our main cryptocurrency, but we do also have a stable coin. And that stable coin is called HBD, the Hive backed dollar. And what it is basically $1 worth of Hive in a stable coin form. Whatever the price of Hive is, a Hive dollar is $1 in Hive. And that is really, really useful for when there's fluctuations in the crypto market. But it's even more useful when you want to pay for something in a game, when you want to pay person to person. And right now, one of the coolest developments that we have is using something like Keychain, or we have a couple of different apps that handle HBD and use it for different payment scenarios. But a really cool one is one called V for V, and that means value for value. And it is essentially an app on your phone. You grab your QR code anywhere in the world, anywhere in the world that you can pay for a Bitcoin Lightning invoice, either request or pay, you can use Hive or HBD. No extra fees, no extra services, no extra steps. You literally scan a Lightning invoice with this app with your phone, and you will pay in Hive or HBD. Why does that matter? No fees, again, instant settlement, because again, we're real fast, and even cooler, no KYC. Think about Lightning a lot right now. Lightning often requires, in many cases, for you to use some sort of KYC on and off ramp. If you would just like to pay for an invoice, you want to buy coffee, you want to go down to Venezuela and pay for a hotel, you want to, I think in Portugal now, you can buy food in Portugal. Whatever you want to do, Lightning is spreading even faster than Hive is. You can use your Hive and not have any KYC and pay those invoices. These are really cool use cases that people have not really thought about, especially from a social blockchain. So we're pretty excited. We want to see these things continue. We want to see you be able to use your assets for free because, heck, they're your assets. You shouldn't be burning them just for them to be functional. We want to see you be more social. We want to see you build up whatever relationships are important to you, whether you're a creator or you're an end user, whether you are a project manager, a game developer, you have the idea that you want to build core code on the blockchain, everybody is welcome. You're all people and you're all contributing. Find yourself in an open source ecosystem. Find yourself in a place where people are excited and engaged about making a difference in blockchain. And also, yeah, maybe earning a little bit and protecting their own rights. That's what it's all about. So we want to get you guys over. We want to bring you into the Hive fold, and we want to add this tool to your tool belt.
Awesome. Yeah,
yeah, there you
we're
are.
gonna have to switch. No, sorry. I should have ended earlier. We should have gave you more time. Thanks for everyone's patience. That was an amazing little stretch into Hive, guys. If you're interested in learning in more about Hive, please just stay tuned until later today. I don't remember the actual time of the Hive AMA, but we have multiple. Like, she's just one person that's advocating for it. We have multiple projects coming right after Crypto Shots to talk together about it and how they're using it. And it's actually a blog platform too. That's what most people are using it for. So let's move that talk over to there. Thank you very much, Crimson Clad. It was amazing to have you, especially on cam too. Just a very awesome vibe for a keynote. We love having you.